From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big midday on LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over your monthly stimulus check and why you're likely to get more months of checks from the Democrats. Then we go over the recon. Done deal. You're getting $3.5 trillion of checks under the fourth stimulus package. This is not checks for children. This is checks for everyone. Checks for children with third stimulus. This is fourth stimulus. Checks for seniors are in here. Checks for adults, checks for workers, and more. I'll go over all the incredible details about this $3.5 trillion payout coming to the American people. Then the vote. There's a vote set next week. It's for the bipartisan, the roads and bridges. I'll go over that vote and why it's teeing up another vote, and it's also setting up a backup plan. Then we cut to fifth stimulus as it raises your benefits up if you're on SSI and SSDI. This stimulus is the reform that you were waiting for during the campaign trail, and it's finally happening. And then we cut to the big money that viewers continue to get. And the new success story, another viewer gets $18,000, this time for rent. The second biggest payout ever seen in this history of the channel in over 60 days. I'll go over all the exciting details of how you can get this big money as well. It's a big noontime. It's a big home day, and we're going to get to all the incredible details starting right here, live from Santa Monica on LALATE. Hey, good noontime, everybody. How you doing? Hope you're having a beautiful day. How's the weather where you are? It was horrible weather here yesterday, all over the place, hot and muggy and then cool. But today, it has been perfect weather. I hope you're being blessed with wonderful weather as well. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from. And how's the weather? In this fourth stimulus check update of today, so much wonderful breaking news. First, we're going to go over that monthly stimulus check and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we cut to the deal. The recon is confirmed. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people. These are checks for you. These are not checks for children. These are checks for you. Congratulations. I'll go over some of those checks in this recording. And then we go to the vote. There's a series of votes happening next week. First up, the bipartisan, the roads and bridges. And then I'll go over the potential second vote and the backup plan. And then we cut to the big money across the board, like Nisi, who got $23,000 for this channel for rent and utilities, Art Sullivan, who got 3 items, Louis, who got $18,000, John, who got 10 to 12, and now a new viewer who got $18,000 overnight. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. Coming up next is it's not overnights. Coming up next is afternoons, LALATE. It feels like it's already overnight. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers at YouTube, a record. Next stop of 1 million. I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. And yes, you heard the breaking news that LALATE is now expanding as a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week financial news channel, not just in its 24-hour coverage, but now with programming every hour upon the hour. Join us in August as you see shows literally every hour to 2 hours on this channel. Let's get to the delicious breaking news starting right now with the big payouts. First, when we look at the House and the Senate, the big question has been the number of checks, and now that has changed based upon Delta. House bill, pandemic plus 1 year monthly stimulus checks. Senate approach, monthly, but July to December. Let's go over the payouts. House bill, $2,000 after the first month, then it becomes $1,000 a month. Senate monthly, unknown, but word on the street the Senate would pay you this. Deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000, or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. When we were looking at this number just 4 weeks ago, we said, well, maybe the pandemic's over. If it's over, then we would just be reduced to 12 checks under the House bill. But now, everything has changed. 3 weeks ago, it became evident that the pandemic's not over. 2 weeks ago, it became evident that the pandemic's really not over. And then last week, as 50 states ravaged out of control with Delta, mass mandates being mandated across the country in different jurisdictions. The pandemic is 100% not over, which means that the House bill would likely pay more than 12 checks, pandemic plus 1 year, which would be more than $13,000. And how does that compare to this and the Senate? I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now. Vote House of Senate. House of Senate, tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Vote House of Senate right now. Boy, things change quickly. Who gets that fourth stimulus check? Democrats represent that if you got a third, they're giving you a fourth. Single individual, $75,000 less. Democrats represent you're getting a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 less. Democrats represent you're getting a fourth stimulus check. Double it. If you, married couple, $150,000 less, you get a fourth stimulus check. Double it. A family of four, Democrats represent you're getting a fourth stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, congratulations. Democrats represent you're getting a fourth stimulus check. The fourth stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check would be the same amount for everyone, including adult dependents. Yes. And the fourth stimulus check is a monthly check, not a waivable check. I was at Mitch's Lobster Fest last night, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, Senator McConnell, how are you? It's me, LA. Hello, LA, how are you?" And I said, "Great, I went to come up and wave to you. I'm not a waivable check, LA." I turned to him and I said, "Yeah, Mitch, you're not even a monthly check. Get out of here." The fourth stimulus check would come in the fourth stimulus check would come in the month of July, for the month of July. Those Democrats represent. And in the month of August, for the month of August. Jalapal should never have invited me. But those Democrats are giving us some deliciousness, and it's $3.5 trillion of deliciousness. $3.5 trillion. Done. Deal. The recon has now been confirmed on both price tag, and they're going to be passing it. They agreed that they're passing it. So you're going to see $3.5 trillion of checks coming to you under the fourth stimulus package. Not for children, that's third stimulus, this is fourth stimulus. All exciting news. In the second half of this video, we'll go over some of these items. Then in the third part of this video, we'll be going over the vote. There's a vote set for next week, and it's the infrastructure. Yes, this is huge for us. I'll explain to you why, and then I'll also go over news about a backup plan, and it is wonderful. But first, here's a preview of the second half of this video. It's fifth stimulus. It is my beneficiaries' raise of their benefits. My veterans, yes. My SSI and SSDI, yes. You've been waiting for this lift up of your benefits since the campaign trail. President did deliver it. Now it's happening, and it's coming up in the second half of this video. But first, let's get some money. You have been killing it. I'm so proud of you. We're going to go over rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and homeowners utilities for you to get as well. If you haven't got it, you're going to learn how to get it starting right now. If you're in the live chat, post your success story for rent right now. Post your success story for utilities. Post your success story for SNAP. The numbers are absolutely astronomical. I was recording videos just a few weeks ago where I said I can get you $5,000 for 46 months of rent. Viewers are now getting $20,000 for rent. Nisi. And then in the last 48 hours, a viewer on Instagram sending me a very nice message, $17,000 to $18,000 for rent. The second biggest payout we've seen ever in the history of this channel in nearly 2 months. Then for utilities, I said I could get you $300 a month, $300 for utilities. Viewers are getting $3,000. Wow. And then when we talk about SNAP, insane. $5,000 to $6,000 was what I was referring to because some viewers got it from this channel. Now John getting $10,000 to $12,000. Louis, $18,000. Yes, I'm so excited for you. Get a pen and paper ready. I'm going to go over all this big money for you. But first, what's going on? This is what this channel does. This is not a check tracking channel. This is a cash in check channel. In April of last year, EIDL loans and grants were not coming. There was no check to track, and I stepped in, I handheld, and did everyone's applications and got $25 million of EIDL loans approved. They cashed $25 million of checks. But in fall of 2020, second stimulus wasn't coming. There was no check in the mail. There was no check to track. I stepped forward and I got viewers $250,000, like Tyrone, who cashed a $15,000 check from this channel, paid for his rent from December all the way to early spring. But now you're doing it again, and you are inspirational. You're getting numbers I've never seen in the history of this channel. So let's go over each of the pot of the money. We're getting rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and utilities. Each place has different eligibility, so if one says no, reach out to the next. And they all have their own pot of money. The keywords viewers tell me are critical to getting approved. Here we go. You're reaching out to your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords you're saying are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or homeowners utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Mitch's reoccurring stimulus check. They don't know that. It's Mitch, yeah. Maybe reoccurring lobster fest. That's about it. I mean, one lobster fest was enough for me. Just not delicious enough. There you go. And congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this wonderful pot of money. The next pot of money is the money for SNAP. If you got rent, post your success story right now, or utilities. But the SNAP is incredible. John got $10,000 to $12,000. Congratulations, John, my friend. And then Louie, $18,000 for SNAP. I'm so excited for you. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom. Gail got it as well. What is SNAP? It is money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check. How much does it pay? A fortune. A family of four out of Hawaii gets paid upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow, why so much money? Because of two wonderful executive orders. One from Biden, one from Trump that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. And if you got in SNAP, post in the live chat right now, congratulations, you're killing it. $15,000, $16,000 for SNAP, family of four out of Hawaii. $5,000 for rent, but you're getting $20,000. And we're only 11 minutes in this video. The next pot of the money is the money coming back from your states due to overpayment and a computer error. Federal government has ordered that state money returned back to you. One viewer got $3,000. If one viewer got $5,000, you got that as well. Jump in the live chat. Well, where's it landing? Direct deposit. Can you track it? Yeah, call up your state and say, hey, state, can you track that check due to computer error? And can you track it with a computer that actually works? And finally, the wonderful refund check back from IRS. Margaret got it, Cod got it, and Michael got it, but we have an update from IRS. The update is that the checks are coming in waves. Not like Mitch. The checks are coming in waves, and the latest wave this week, the average payout was $1,265. Wow. Direct deposits will start July 4th for this wave, and paper checks July 16th. Great news. A new wave will be every week. Let's go over the details. First, let's say you had $9,000 on unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. When? This month. Now, if you're in the live chat and you haven't posted your success stories, do it. Why? Because you help other viewers. It's viewers helping other viewers. Three things wonderfully come from it. Number one, you inspire other people to get the money. So if you see 1,000 people in the live chat and 200 people posting about the money they got for all this food or rent, it inspires other people to get the money. Number two, it inspires people to get multiple sums of money. So if you see Art Sullivan in the live chat and he got 3 items, or Nisi 3, that inspires you if you got one to get the other ones. And finally, it updates us about the numbers. We see bigger, bolder numbers and we get excited. Finally, if you're trying to track this check back from IRS, go to irs.gov and do a transcript search. 70% of the time it works. It'll reveal the tax return you filed and the taxes you paid. It'll reveal stuff you never knew. It'll reveal stuff that Mitch does not want you to know. It'll reveal when Mitch appeared on Star Search and he did the spokesperson contest. Did he have his hair done by Amazon Hair? Can we top that? We can, as we go into the second part of your Four Symbols Check battleground. The semifinals, starting right now. The incredible great news is we have a deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under the Four Symbols Recon. They've agreed to pass it, and they've agreed to the price tag. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people. These are checks for all of you. These, again, are not checks for children. That's third symbols. This is fourth symbols. These are checks for the American people. It's a done deal. And the details of it are coming up later in this video. But how do we get to this wonderful spot? From taking the recon and shrinking it. Before July 4th, Nancy and Chuck said that the vote would be done by July 4th. They couldn't get it done because the Democrats said, I'm not voting in favor of that recon with roads and bridges in there. They said, I'm not passing it. So it would not pass by July 4th. They had to take the roads and bridges out. They shrunk the recon, and that made the recon then passable. Confirmation comes from a conservative publication, an op-ed that confirms my reporting that says the higher the price tag was on the recon before, the harder it was to pass. Confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending out of the recon and put it into the bipartisan roads and bridges, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller. Obviously, in other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. Sorry, Mitch, sorry to set you up, but That's what happened. Ironically, the Republicans don't feel set up. They love the bipartisan. And guess what? In the second half, third part of this video, you're going to go over them calling the vote this week. Wow. How do we get to this wonderful spot? We got to this wonderful spot by getting this price tag of $3.5 trillion. Once they shrunk the recon, they could bring it back up a little more, and they got a big, bold enough number that made everyone perfectly happy. Like Elon Omar, who initially has said, we need a recon that goes as far as we want it. You got it, Elon. Congratulations, $3.5 trillion. And Representative Richie Torres has said, that we need a larger recon. You got it, Richie, $3.5 trillion. And the Progressive Caucus was meeting with the White House daily to ensure the recon went big enough. So what is a recon? How does it get voted on? Where is it voted on? Do we see it? When is it finished? When do we see the details? And who votes on it? Let's go over all the details, starting with the recon. The recon is written by Democrats for Democrats to be passed by Democrats. Republicans have nothing to do with it. Over the weekend, someone had a hysterical comment that I reached out to Susan Collins' office to ask her about my recon. She's a Republican. That's like asking Mitch McConnell, where does Nancy Pelosi get her hairstyle done? She has nothing to do with that. Absolutely wants nothing to have to do with that. That I don't think we do either. So there you go. The recon is written in the subcommittees, and those subcommittees of the House have the delegated duties. But before we get to the writing, let's go over the names, because while I just use two words on this channel, recon and bipartisan, there's other words, and if you hear those other words, you need to know what they are. So we only have two items at issue, but unfortunately they have multiple names. Here we go. Recon is also called reconciliation, also called budget bill. You recognize its name by the people in the article, like a Bernie Sanders or a Jalopal. The price tag you also recognize it at, $3.5 trillion. Bipartisan is also called the infrastructure or roads and bridges. You recognize it by its price tag, smaller, $1.5 trillion. And people quoted in its article are a Ron Portman, a Kristen Sinema, Democrat, or a Mitt Romney. All right, who writes the recon? The recon is written by subcommittee members of the House as the lead authors, with the Senate subcommittee members helping them. Under the Constitution, different subcommittees are delegated different subject matters. House Ways and Means Subcommittee is responsible for stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. When they're writing, when they're editing, when they're taking out, voting in favor, voting against, you can't see it. Under the Constitution, there's no requirement that there's transparency. They don't have to show you what they're doing. They don't have to show you what they're voting on. Ultimately, when they're done, they send those pages up to Chuck. Let's say we have 10 subcommittees, 10 pages they wrote. He combines it. 100 pages and puts a big, bold S on it. For Laverne and Shirley? No. For Chuck Schumer? No. It's for Senate. No. When he puts that big, bold S on it, then we see the reconciliation. But hold up. Not law yet. We have an emoji for that. Not law yet. In the third part of this video, I'll go over with you how the recon is likely to get diced and spiced because it's fully not over until when it lands on the Senate floor. They're going to modify it again, and they modify it different directions. That's coming up in the third part of this video. But before we see the recon, we just don't have the recon. And that's why it's important for you to understand. Mainstream media and I confirm the same thing, that we just don't have the recon. So it's sort of like a pop singer who has an upcoming album, doesn't want to show you the tracks on the album or have you hear them before the album releases. Nothing wrong about it. They just want to keep it undercover until they reveal it. Which is why if someone jumps in the comments and says, I haven't heard, I haven't seen, I haven't heard, well, guess what? That's because the recon hasn't been released. Okay, how do we get to this wonderful spot? From Jalopal, who had written a letter to Schumer saying, Chuck, call the vote. That letter was signed by 12 House Democrats who are part of the 100-plus who had written the president a letter saying, we're going to be giving you monthly forced stimulus checks in the forced stimulus package. Wow. Can we top that? Yes. 7 House Ways and Means subcommittee members, the same subcommittee we just went over, yes, wrote the president a letter recently saying, we're putting monthly fourth stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package. Whoa, that is wonderful. We got to keep them to their promise, Purple Power. Absolutely. Now, they also wrote your third stimulus check, and they represent they're doing a fifth stimulus check as well. Can we top that? Yes, as the International Corporate Tax Agreement is now finally law. It was signed into law just a few days ago, and this is huge. The global minimum corporate tax rate, you saw the president do a ceremonial signature 4 or 5 weeks ago, but the formal signature was signed into law just a few days ago. This is astronomical for forced stimulus. Why? Because it makes forced stimulus easier to pass. Why? Because this thing is so confusing. No joke. That's why it's a tongue twister. The global minimum corporate tax rate is a minimum is a tax twister, and did I say tax twister? Tongue twister. It's a tongue twister and a tax twister. It's a tongue twister, and because it's a tongue twister, it makes it easier to pass for stimulus recon because it's not in there. First, easier to call the recon, easier to write the recon because this thing is not in there. Easier to call the vote on the recon because this thing ain't in there. Easier to vote on the recon because this thing ain't in there, and easier to pass the recon because this thing is not in there. Can we top that? We can. The final 15 or the final 17 is about to heat up. In the final 15 minutes of this video, we go over the next 7 days, which are astronomically important for forced stimulus. The Republicans are representing this as the finish line. And if it is the finish line, what will happen in the next 7 days? I go over all those next 7 days in the final 15 minutes of this video, the final 15 of the final 7. Also, I go over fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up for my beneficiaries. But something more wonderful than that, the volunteers. If you need help with rent, utilities, internet, or SNAP, or more, reach out to them. How do you find them? Open the description of this video. Go down in the description till you see an emoji of a house. Click that link and it sends you over to the community page, news.la.com/community. On the community page, you'll see the volunteers separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them for help for utilities, rent, internet, SNAP, and they'll help you. They're viewers just like you. They're salt of the earth. They have your back. I have your back. And I'll see you back in 60 seconds from now. I'll be back with you with the big final 15 of the final 7 on this fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus battleground tonight. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues on Noontime LA with the final 15 of the final 7 coming up in just a second. And also the exciting details about this stimulus. During the commercial break, someone asked, if I'm not behind on my mortgage, can I still get mortgage help? Yes, each place has different eligibility, so always apply. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you to subscribe to this channel. 400,000 in 1 year, next stop 1 million. Like the video, 3,000 likes, every like helps, and consider becoming a member. I personally want to thank, I scroll through some of the comments during the commercial break. They are wonderful. I'm loving all the love in the live chat today. Much of an improvement over what happened on yesterday's noontime. Boy, you saw my message about that on Evenings LA last night. Coming up later today is a new show of Afternoons LA at 3 o'clock, then a new show of Evenings at 5, a brand new Overnights Crypto at 3:30, and some news and some sirloin as well. Meantime, a replay of Afternoons LA is in that time slot at 1 o'clock. And thank you for embracing the expanding coverage as this channel now expands to 1 to 2 hours of programming on the hour every hour for the next 24 hours starting in August. Let's cut over to fifth stimulus, which is what the president promised to you during the campaign trail, but then yet to deliver. And suddenly, this is getting very fascinating. The Democrats in the Senate and the Democrats in the House are stepping up to take care of it for you under fifth stimulus. They're putting that SSI reform in there that the president has yet to deliver for you, although he promised to do it to you during the campaign trail. What are they going to give you? Raise your benefit limits up. Remove the asset limit. Add the inflationary benchmark. Remove the marriage penalty. And remove the income exclusion. Let's go over all the details starting right now. First, they'll raise your benefits up. Who's you? You. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. Then they'll apply the benchmark. This will likely go to a vote around in October or November. So then you'll likely see the benchmark applied in December. It's going to be inflation. And inflation is going up. How high? It's going to be transitory. Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, testified on Capitol Hill last week. He said the same thing the month before. What does transitory mean? It means it's going to reach a spike, a temporary spike in December. Yes, that's right when they apply your benchmark. So that'll raise your benefits up lifetime. How high is the inflation rate going to be? Wall Street last week confirmed my number, about 5%. So let's use that number as an analysis. First, they'll raise your benefits up. Then they'll apply the benchmark. Let's say it's 5% inflation. If it's 5%, your benefits will go up another 5%, not just next year, but lifetime. Whoa. And if the year after that, then if your inflation rate is 1%, you'll go up another 1%. Incredible, great news. Now, this last week, we saw a lot of strange economic numbers. We saw the labor numbers strange and bad on Thursday. We saw the 10-year Treasury note for interest rates and growth of the economy go up and go down between Monday and Tuesday. Do either of these things impact our inflation number? Not directly, so no. Inflation is tied to cost of goods sold, milk, eggs, gasoline. Ultimately, all those numbers could impact inflation long term, but not short term. So then what else? Well, they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't work that you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Now you'll be able to have some stimulus checks and some Crayola crowns. STL Cardinals red. Sorry, Canute. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stand benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. Love is going to win. You'll be able to do a pair dance just like me. And you'll be able to get all your benefits restored if you were married and no longer suffer the marriage penalty. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married and no longer fear the marriage penalty. There you go. Now, if you are in the live chat and notice the people who have an emoji of a purple hawk next to their name, what's going on? They're hawks. Hawk, hawk, and they get the money before anyone else. What's going on is that I deliver daily to them a breakdown of all the big money under third stimulus for them to get money. That's why you see viewers like Nisi in the live chat right now getting $23,000. She's a Purple Hawk. She follows and understands where this money is. It's delivered daily from me to you via the YouTube community page of all the breakdown under third stimulus. And when fourth stimulus becomes law, I'll be getting you the $3.5 trillion of checks as well. In December of last year, a second stimulus passed, and it was a $600 stimulus check, but I said, yeah, I'll get you $6,000. I got Tyrone $14,000 for rent. And then in January, a $1,400 third stimulus check passed, but I said, I'll get you $14,000. I've gotten to viewers now $18,000 for rent at least. So consider becoming a member. The word is join underneath the video. And with that, we go to our final 15 of our final 7 days, potentially to the finish line of fourth stimulus battleground, starting right now. Let's start with the recon. Deal done. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under the fourth stimulus recon. The deal was solidified by the Senate Democrats. This is both a price tag agreement on, and they've agreed they're passing it. All they have to do is vote on the actual bill. Senator Tim Kaine explains that once you agree upon the price tag, you've ostensibly agreed upon the whole thing. All you have to do is slide the prices into the numbers. Second, the price is so huge. Bernie Sanders called it one of the greatest days for the American people. He had gone in asking for $7 trillion, but agreed upon exactly half because he said it got all his programs funded with the same amount, just a shorter period of time. Clearly, that looks like it's half the amount of time. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people, and this is an enormous sum of money. These checks will be detailed to us when we see the recon, but some of the initial checks are starting to leak to the press, and these checks leaked some of them are the following: free school meals for all checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, immigration reform checks, farming checks, election checks, digital divide checks, which is free internet is going to be provided from your local cities. They're going to give fortunes to the local cities. So you no longer have to pay for internet. It will be provided to you for free. Clean energy checks. And then come checks for my workers and checks for my seniors. First, my workers. Checks for you. Checks for independent contractors. Unions and collective bargaining. And then my seniors. Checks for Medicare. Checks for lower eligibility. Checks for dental. Checks for vision. And checks for hearing. Wow. All right, let's cut over now to the bipartisan, the roads and bridges. So the bipartisan, two people, Mitt Romney, Republican senator, and Ron Portman, Republican senator. 2 weeks ago, Mitt Romney said, well, we're working all weekend long, and we believe that the vote will be ready to go this week, if not the week after, for the bipartisan. At the time, mainstream media and myself both agreed the vote would not happen last week. We thought it was too soon, that the vote will happen this week. Well, more about that in a second. Chuck Schumer did call a vote last week. And what was that vote about? It was to end discussion of the bipartisan within a few days. Not a vote on the bill, but to end discussion about it. And I said it was not going to pass, but it was going to help. It did not pass, but it really, really helped. It put fire under the Republicans' feet. And what happened? Hours after that, 11 Republicans signed a letter delivered to Chuck Schumer by Ron Portman. The Ron Portman letter has 11 Senate Republicans saying that they're calling the vote on the bipartisan infrastructure, roads and bridges this coming week. Yes, very exciting news. Now let's balance Ron Portman versus Mitt Romney. What is my position? I've made a gazillion videos about both over the last year. And Mitt Romney consistently has been on point about everything he says. He delivers on time, date, provisions, length. There's never any sort of stalling by him. Ron Portman, on the other hand, is that guy from May of 2020. When you were losing your home, your business, and your car, came out and said, get back to work. You're lazy. I'm cutting off your unemployment benefits. Yeah, that's Ron Portman. So when weighing Ron Portman versus Mitt Romney, I rather put my dice on Mitt Romney for his representations of calling the vote. All right, exciting details. Now, here is what you need to know, is that this is huge and exciting, great news for us, because the Democrats, Nancy, Chuck, the president, Jalopal, everyone agrees you have to call the vote on the recon, our money, before the roads and bridges. Well, if the roads and bridges are going to a vote next week, so claim the Republicans, then our recon goes to a vote before then. Yes, incredible, great news. Now, there's reports of a backup plan B for the Democrats. Yesterday, I detailed two of the reports about it. I said one I don't believe, so I'm only sticking with the one that I do believe, and it's this one. There's reports that claim that the Democrats are mindful and remember history over the last 15 years where there was something that had to be done, and the Republicans ran out the clock by saying, I'm getting into it, and they never got into it, so that they intentionally ran out the clock, and the Democrats were left with nothing. Well, the Democrats are attentive to the situation right now as well. And with that, Chuck Schumer reportedly had a meeting with his Democratic senators this last week. And during that meeting, they discussed the issue. Even the most problematic Democrats were in agreement. And what was that agreement? A big change. The Democrats reportedly, Senate Democrats agreed that they will call the recon for a vote by itself if the Republicans cannot get that bipartisan to a vote this week. Wow, that's great news. Now remember, we had heard just a few weeks ago that enough Democrats said, I won't vote on the recon if the bipartisan is not ready. Well, apparently even the most problematic Democrats have had it with the waiting time on the bipartisan. Apparently they're just putting their hands up and saying, I'm done waiting. I'm not going to let the clock run out on my watch. We're calling the vote on the recon. And if you can't get the bipartisan done, you can't get the bipartisan roads and bridges done. I'm calling the vote on the recon. This is great news. So you see how these next 7 days are really critical. Next, when you have the vote, it's important to understand this is a democracy. In a democracy, it's not a one vote, one check environment. That's a dictatorship. I've been detailing the voting process, but I'm going to go over it again right now. When you do a recon, you have to start, at least on this time, on the Senate subcommittee, then the Senate floor, over to the House, and then potentially back to a 2-day vote-a-rama in the Senate. So it's not one vote and it's not one step, but it's also not different votes for different days. It doesn't take that long either. When Chuck Schumer also debuts that bill, that reconciliation with that big S on it, here's what you need to know. It's not law yet. We have an emoji for it. It's not bill yet, but when it's bill, it's also not law yet. Here's what you need to know, is that Democrats have already come out and said, I'm ready to make my changes to it. Wait, why? I thought they were writing it. No, see, this is what's important to distinguish. Subcommittee members are just subcommittee members. You know, House Ways and Means has only so many subcommittee members on it. If you're not on that subcommittee, you still want to bite at the apple to make changes. And that's what's happening. On Friday, House Democrats came out and said, I'm not a cheap date. You can't just give me something for the Senate and tell me to rubber stamp it. I'm going to make changes if I want to make changes. Ooh, boy, I like this. Because what you need to know is that when that recon is debuted, we are not done yet. It can be modified across the board. It can go up, it can go down, it can go out, it can go in. They can modify things across the board. And ultimately, that's why you have the push purple power, because it can get modified on the House floor, as the House Democrats have already said they're going to modify it, and modify it on the Senate floor when it goes back to the Senate floor. 2-day vote-a-rama. Across the board, there's a lot of twists and turns, but here's what you need to know going into the new week. Number one, confirmation, $3.5 trillion of checks that come to the American people under the Forced Stimulus Recon. Over the next few weeks, I'll be going, after this becomes law, I'll be going over all these big sums of money and how you get them. Number two, when we see the recon, it's not law yet. They can modify it, and they've actually indicated, and I'm talking about Democrats versus Democrats. Democrats have already indicated they're modifying whatever's in that recon. Number three, the reporting now suggests that the Democrats may not wait any longer for the Republicans. So while the Republicans represent that they have the bipartisan ready for a vote next week, if they don't, the Democrats reportedly won't wait another minute and will just go ahead and start passing the bill. Really getting exciting. And with that, you have to push down to the finish line. Coming up next at 1 o'clock is our throwback afternoon's LATE show. Then our new LATE show for today is at 3 p.m. Then evening's LATE at 5 p.m. Meantime, overnight's crypto at 3:30 and sirloin at 8 o'clock. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes. Every like helps. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP, so you have access to all the incredible information, so you know the big money you can get across the board. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay valet for more.